Hello, everybody, and welcome to another edition of Magic Mics, proudly sponsored by CoolSomething.com, mana traders, as well as Twitch subs and Patreon supporters just like you. My name is Evan Irwin, and get started each week by saying hello to my two co-hosts, Power Dragon.
What's up, everybody? It has been a hell of a week for so many reasons.
Yeah, it's been a hell of a 3 days, I guess, at this point.
Yeah.
Oh, and I got to kick it off prior to that, getting about a food poisoning. So, yeah, I had a great week.
Fun. Ruben Bressler.
Hey, yeah. We were also off last week. Not that we needed an extra week to talk about, but there is that as well.
Right, we did not. Ruben, you'll want to scooch to your left, just a shade
My
there.
left.
And if you missed that pre-show, our patrons get access to that stuff early, which we appreciate. We kick it off with our first pick and our promo code reminder. I want you to go to CoolStuffInc.com, use the promo code MagicMics to save 5% off anything in the store. Single sealed supplies, whatever you want, get 5% off by using the promo code MagicMics and support your favorite streamer with your suggestions at the end of the show to see who we raid tonight. Thanks to our sponsor, CoolStuffInc.com, where you can find cool stuff in stock every day. Use the promo code MagicMics so that we can figure out that we sent you. Okay. Mother of God. So, this Monday, a bomb was dropped. A bomb unlike few other bombs I have ever seen dropped in Magic the Gathering, having covered, talked about, made videos, written articles about, being deep into Magic the Gathering. But this type of hydrogen bomb of a banning happened in Commander from the Rules Committee. They banned Dockside Extortionist, Jeweled Lotus, Mana Crypt, and Nadu Winged Wisdom. First of all, nobody cares about Nadu. There's not one person on this planet who was like, you had to get rid of Nadu? No. Nadu sucks.
We all saw that coming.
Mana Crypt and Jeweled Lotus is such a monstrous beating for people's collections in terms of their financial viability, and B, how hard it was for them to get those types of cards, particularly special versions of them. C, Elena Danner even came out and said, hey, for 4 years now, people have told her how, excited and powerful and, and how much it means to them when she signs them and so on. And Dockside Extortionist was kind of on the list anyway. People kind of expected it, but it was really the Jeweled Lotus and the Mana Crypt that made everyone kind of lose their minds.
Here's the thing, though. I think there's really two issues. It's the first that there wasn't communication around it, right? So, because I think if at some point the RC would have said, hey, these are on the watch list, just know that we're thinking about these and they could potentially be banned, right? And then, I don't know, 60 days later, 90 days later, whatever, they decide they do need to be banned, then I don't think it would have hit as bad, right? But the problem is, in the meantime, you have people that have been out trading, buying, whatever, to acquire these cards, especially the rare versions that are super expensive. And now they don't have a use for them, and maybe even got rid of a significant amount of money or resources to acquire those, right? Had they known, hell, some people in the last month, maybe even last weekend, if they were at an event or something, right? I think that's the bigger issue, combined with the fact that Wizards has had those cards as chase cards in a couple of sets over the last 12 months, right?
Right.
So I think those two things give players at least somewhat an inclination of oh, these are just going to be around a while, so it's cool for me to go get these. Right? I think that's where the real issues are. Now, for all the people who think conspiracy theory and Wizards just made their money, believe me, Wizards likely doesn't like this either, because they lose some reprint equity in future sets.
Oh,
right?
Huge.
They don't magically have $100, $200, $300 cards. They can just stick in things anymore to get you to go buy packs. Right? So whoever's in charge of that at Wizards obviously isn't going to be any happier about it.
Right.
But I think it's really the communication issue more than anything that was the problem. Now, artists being upset that their card got banned, or I don't know. That doesn't bother me that much.
It is what that is. But,
yeah,
and for those who are sort of concerned, for example, did Cool Stuff lose a lot of money? People were asking. No, if you as a card store lost a lot of money, your inventory management is not good.
Yeah.
That's your problem. Not that you had too many. It was that you're not, figuring out your way to turn the cards or whatever. But let's back up for a second. The Commander Rules Committee is a leadership committee that originally had Sheldon Minery on it, along with some others. It is now currently 5 members. I'm not even going to list their names because people are going and attacking and doxing, and I'm not into that. And what is wrong with y'all? And how many times we have to explain that people are real people, and you shouldn't go throwing around threats and stuff because it's gross. But either way, they were the ones who had made this decision. The issue is that there's also the CAG, the Commander Advisory Group, that is another bunch of illuminaries who are awesome, who were apparently not discussed with very much in terms of they had like maybe a survey from months ago where they said, would you ban cards and what would they be or something. That was about it. Nothing about fast mana. Fast mana was a problem. The main issue with this that everyone agrees on is communication. The way that they unveiled this announcement, just dropped it and said, oops, literally these people wiped out millions of dollars of market value in one announcement.
So what would you have preferred they do?
I would have preferred, first of all, they should have definitely been in 100% talks with the Commander Advisory Group as to what they were doing, why they were doing, everyone on the messaging, everyone on the same page, no one finding out the same morning like everybody else did, because that's apparently, as I understand it, what happened. And
to be fair, the Commander Advisory Group found out, depending on when you saw it, somewhere between 36 and 48 hours beforehand. That's when the CAG knew.
Oh, that's good. And so, but I think the other part of it is that it was too much too soon. If you want to ban Dockside, do it. Great. Don't do everything else. Do Dockside. Explain this is our new philosophy. We're going to start looking at fast mana. You know what I mean? We're going to really take a look at how this affects the format, yada yada. Wait a few months, let that sink in, and then maybe do the Jeweled Lotus or do the Mana Crypt and let that percolate and happen and say, hey, this is a new thing that we're doing.
I don't think it's a time issue. I think it's a communication issue flat out, because Dockside had been talked about for the better part of the last 18 months.
Sure.
Right. So no, even though it got to be whatever it was, $90 or $100 in a lot of places, people kind of went, but we know this might happen.
We knew it
right.
Was
so it doesn't bother them that bad.
Yeah.
But if you just went out and spent $100 on a Jeweled Lotus or one of the Mana Crypts or whatever, now you feel blindsided because you're like, oh, I had every reason to believe this was fine. Right. That's the difference for me.
Okay.
Now, do note that Sheldon Menery is no longer with us. They passed about a year ago. And as I understand it, he was a big proponent for not banning things, just sort of kind of at all, unless they were big issues. This is as I understand it.
Sure.
Now, so the issue is that if his voice was no longer in the room, that's why these changes happen.
I will also say, though, he is on the record as saying fast mana is one of the biggest problems with Commander.
Yeah,
He's on the record as saying that.
I don't like where that talking point's headed.
I don't necessarily like, and I don't want to speak obviously for what he would do or wouldn't do. What I'm saying is that traditionally, well, let's just put it this way. Traditionally, the RC has been so quiet that people are like, why do we even have a rules committee? You remember those narratives? Or whatever?
Yeah, absolutely.
Like, what the hell are they doing? Like, that doesn't make any sense. Why do they even exist? And so when they go out and they do this, like, whoa, who are you, to be doing all this stuff? It's like, well, because it had prestige there and it had sort of a modem of working. And that's why I was saying it was a timing issue, and that if you're going to be an organization who doesn't change much of anything for a very long time, don't change all this at once. Just do a thing, let it happen. Do a thing, explain yourself. You know what I mean? Get everybody on why you're doing it and when it happens.
So there's a lot that man, you do this sometimes where you could do like 8 talking points in 3 minutes. I got to focus on a couple things.
Sure.
Let's not talk about Sheldon.
Sure.
First of all, because he's not here to say what he would have said. This is new people and this is new leadership. Let's just not.
Oh, I have some choice words that could get us canceled for the idiots that were doing that, though. If you want to throw that out there.
Right, exactly. Let's not do that. That way lies madness. The previous behavior of the rules committee and the advisory committee notwithstanding, would you like for the behavior to change in the rules committee, the rules committee and the advisory committee, as it pertains to amount and regularity of communication? That is probably not a great conversation to be having in tandem with the issue at hand. I agree that it's one that needs to be had, but they muddy each other up, right? They are different. They're different conversations to have.
Sure.
There's no way to avoid having both conversations simultaneously. It just does muddy each other.
Right.
Yes, they're related for sure.
Yeah.
Ultimately, I am in favor of these decisions, personally. Let that hang there, because we can disagree on that.
I don't play Commander, so I have absolutely no dog in this race, at all. At all. Doesn't matter.
I have almost never personally played against a Jeweled Lotus. The games in which Jeweled Lotus get played seem like those players have had fun and seem like the game is designed to help with those, 8 mana commanders or whatever. Mana Crypt and Dockside equally have, big outsized effects on the game. But so does Soul Ring. So does Jessica's Will. There are lots of these big extra mana cards. So, the fact that these expensive ones were singled out is interesting and notable. I think ultimately you're right that it's communication. I don't think that the communication was a problem. I think that the communication was the change in type of communication is the problem. This is a big change that all happened at the same time with an announcement that we're not used to. We're not used to this level of interaction with the advisory group and the rules committee. So if we had had more big announcements like this in the past, this one would not have been quite so outsized. It still would have been enormous because of the cards that are included. But ultimately, I think that a lot of the belly aching and upset voices that are right to be upset, and your feelings are valid, are from people who treated Magic like an investment. And no one yells at the stock market when they lose money. They yell at themselves for getting it wrong. So that is my sort of complaint around this. It's like, well, these are not on the reserved list.
I mean,
right?
To that point, investing in modern cardboard is not a good idea because of reprints and whatever, right? So you still could have lost 50% of your value 6 months from now when they just make them some giveaway or some insert for a thing.
And they've been legal for the last year, at least. So you got some value out of it.
Well,
I mean, we saw this back when it happened to Jace, right?
Well,
Jaces were $120 when they got banned.
Well, so there's another facet here that Pharmacist Judge notes, and I think it is correct, which is the cEDH half of this. The cEDH players very much wanted Mana Vault or Mana Crypt, very much wanted to play their Jeweled Lotus. That was a thing that was important to their very competitive format. Even if it was very RNG based, you would not often get these in 100 or 99 single card deck or whatever. But regardless, in a competitive environment, those are crazy powerful cards. So when you cut it out because the casual, is this for all casuals or is this for all the competitors too? And this is where, the timing was, 3 weeks ago, 4 weeks ago, the cEDH thing blew up in everyone's face. And now this, right, which is going to affect greatly the cEDH community, even if they're small, even if they're not the largest, facet of all those players. But this to me, again, says like, could this rules committee come out and say, look, this is the split. This is where we're parting ways. cEDH gets to keep these busted cards and the casuals do not, and like we need that because that authority wasn't there 3 or 4 weeks ago. That authority is with these people as we have seen the fallout over the last 3 days.
I think competitive commander is still going to be fine without the cards.
Of course.
Honestly.
I mean, they'll exist. Formats are going to be formats, but like,
I think there's other cards that could be banned in that format that would also help, and I'm not going to those conversations have been had as well about certain cards.
It's most ironic that Soul Ring meets all the same criteria why they banned these other cards. And they noted that, look, they put the card in every pre-con ever. You can't ban Soul Ring. I'm sorry. You can't ban Brainstorm and Legacy. You can't ban Soul Ring and Commander. You just can't.
Fetch lands are always going to be in Modern, blah, blah, blah. There's just some things that just exist. And I'm fine with that. Like, people who complain about Soul Ring, I don't remember a game I've played where Soul Ring just tore the game open. Right? Did somebody get a little bit of a start or whatever and become like the arch enemy for 2 or 3 turns?
Put a target on their back, right?
But it hasn't been the end of the world. Not like when some of the other mana really pops off and you're getting 3, 4, 5 extra mana on turn 1 or 2.
Like Dockside could provide, depending on the setup and what happens and yada yada.
But again, like I said, there was already lots of chatter around Dockside. There was already a lot of chatter around Nadu. So those didn't shock anybody. Right. The shock factor came because there were no indications. I feel like if they wanted to lose legitimacy, they would try to ban Soul Ring because that would be foolish. That would be absolutely silly. Because here's the other thing too. Even using Jace as an example, right? Jace hit $120 or whatever, $140 before it got banned. but we all knew that was a problem, right? We all knew that Cobblade was insane, right? Like even players who played it were complaining about it, right?
Well,
So
but at the time, there hadn't been any large banning since like Affinity or something.
sure, but
So-
but even when it got banned, people kind of went, "It sucks," but yeah, we get it.
Sure.
You know what I mean? Like people didn't like it that they lost their $100 card or whatever, but they still went, "Yeah, we kind of saw it coming." Right?
It was It was a big shock to the system then, for sure, because again,
And
it
the
was
same
very
thing
dormant
here.
for a long time.
Had you known and had it been talked about for a few months, everybody would at least been able to make their decisions knowing that was a possibility. Right?
Like
They made a lot of decisions. Again, doubled down by Wizards, basically giving you every indication that nothing was going to be wrong.
right.
And then the decision came down.
And there's no watch list. There's often in games, card games, there'll be a watch list of, just so you know, these cards are getting some real scrutiny. Maybe something may not happen. Who knows, or whatever.
Yeah,
like,
but even for the RC, they at least mention them and say like, "Hey, we have heard the discussion around this," or "Hey, we have been keeping an eye on this," even though it's not an official watch list. But
right, and that's
people know
about as
it's
good
out
as they
there.
got. But you know, watch lists are watch lists, and the One Ring right now is kind of where like the Sauron's eye just kind of turns to the One Ring. You're like, that's okay. You sure that card's okay?
Sure, but again, if something were to come down on the One Ring in 4 or 5 months, we'd all go, "Yeah, all right." You know what I mean?
We know.
Like we know it's expensive, but like we all know the problems with it, so it's not going to shock anybody when it happens.
Right.
It's not just about the price; it's that people have made decisions with the assumption that it's fine.
Right, and this is
Right, that's the issue.
Right, and this is the part where you're explaining like Wizards is, I don't think at all happy about this. A, how it was
Definitely
rolled out. B, the reaction from everybody. C, the lost reprint equity. These are some of the most expensive reprintable cards in the game. It was always in the back pocket. They always had Mana Crypt ready to go when they wanted to juice something, like LCI, right? They had Dockside when they want to go back to a master set. Like, you know, those are the big heavy hitters. Now, if anything, I think Mana Vault is like exploded in price, and Mana Vault's kind of going to be the new Mana Crypt because there's only a few of them.
Yeah.
They've always made them mythic and so on.
Yeah.
And
Grim Monolith too.
yeah, makes
Well,
sense.
Grim
as well.
Monolith's on the reserve list though.
Yeah,
Right.
that too.
So that's already stupid. But Mana Vault they can reprint. So that might be their new, you know, jewel. But if next year's stuff or next year's master set, which I'm expecting one, is locked in and it's locked in with, you know, Dockside and Jeweled Lotus or whatever,
Well, what
would make them change
What
that?
if they make a new card that instead of 3 mana, it's 2 mana, and instead of a Mana Crypt tapping for 2, it taps for 1, or like they reimagined these cards.
Right. It's a Mana Crypt. They can only tap for commander mana.
I will say this: we
For the
probably don't
caster.
get a master set next year because we have 2 Universes Beyond full sets coming. So
Well,
that's probably
3, right? Or more? We got
Well,
one
2
Final
full
Fantasy.
2 full sets. We get Final Fantasy and we get Marvel as the 2 full sets. We'll have other smaller, I think, Commander sets or something.
Well, yeah,
But I
but
think-
Marvel is going to have like multiple
Yeah.
big sets. As I
Yeah, they get
mean-
one for the next like 3 years, I think.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
Yeah.
I would.
Ultimately, I don't listen. I am not a financial mind, and I never have been in Magic the Gathering. So far be it from me to tell people how to feel or how to react to this news. Obviously, these are expensive cards. They are indelible pieces of particularly competitive decks of a format that has a specific community around it. So people should be upset and they should process grief and they should, you know, go through their mourning process in their own way. However, that process should be private and it should be not as impactful on others, which we'll get to, I'm sure. But also, it shouldn't be the world's biggest surprise. We've had bans in the past. We've had changes to formats. We've had things like this. It just is surprising given that we haven't had something quite this monumental in any format, and Commander has never had something this monumental in its format. So I understand that this is a big shift and a big change, and it will take time to process and to heal for those who are hurt. And it's just a lot of big feelings going around.
And
But I will say, I want to put this out here too. Like, there's a lot of rumors around this too that the CAG and the RC, you know, dumped all their stuff before it became a
get
thing.
outta
And,
here.
like,
Right.
one, like, I'm literally sitting next to a stack of dual lands and other crap over here. If I needed money, I would just sell those. Like, that's not That's not a thing, right? Hell, I still have one of each, I think, sitting in a box across the room. Like,
Yeah.
yeah, hell, I think Olivia showed a picture with that post on Twitter in front of her, and she had like 8 or 9 of her still in her
Right.
hand. Like,
Can you tell me if you have a story from the last 3 days, 5 days of your process of understanding what has occurred here as a member of the advisory group?
um,
Is there
I
anything you
don't,
can share? I
I
don't mean to
don't,
put you on
no,
the
no, no, no,
spot
no.
like this.
I don't, it's not that. I don't know if there really is anything to share. You know, that's what I was sort of thinking. It's like,
That was the
I kind of,
problem. That was the
yeah,
problem.
a decision was made.
Right.
Sure.
And that was that. Like all we are is advisors. If we're asked questions, stuff we find publicly, points we see that we should bring up, and things that should be talked about. Couldn't tell you what the final decision pushed them one way or the other.
Okay.
And now I will say I don't disagree with those cards being gone. I just disagree with them being gone in the way they're gone. Right. That's the bigger issue for me.
Yeah, and earlier tonight, Josh Lee Kwai immediately resigned from the Commander Advisory Group,
Mhm.
and I totally understand why.
I'll
Honestly,
also say this: there's been enough physical threats of violence and other things in doxing that
oh, that's awful.
members of both the entire RC and CAG have had talks on if they should still be in Vegas, and some of the ones going will possibly have extra security during their meet and greets.
Goodness.
Yeah.
That's
Agreed.
where
Good.
we are now,
Yeah, that's
right?
still,
Like that's a real
man.
thing.
That sucks. I mean,
Which is
Josh
insane.
Lee, right? Josh Lee Kwai ran a poll on Twitter. It got almost 19,000 votes. Overall, was this a good decision or a bad decision? It was a good decision by 0.3%. 50.3% say it was good. 49.7% say it was bad. Obviously, not very scientific, yada yada, but it's still 19,000 votes, one way
I
or
would
the
also
other.
question like the follow up on those who were bad. If you put a follow up poll, does this bother you because of the financial impact?
Sure.
And I bet you that's a very large percentage of those people that voted.
Well,
that
and
it's bad,
also,
right?
like, how emotional does this decision, if how much of this decision is an emotional reaction?
Right.
It's a big shift for a lot of people, both economically and socially. Their hobby has shifted and their finances have shifted. Close votes are emotional, turns out. And this one is no different.
And that was something that I sort of latched onto on that Monday morning when I was trying to explain it. When I was like, "Hey, look, a lot of this doesn't sound rational because it's not. It's emotional. A lot of these people have these very powerful memories of getting their card signed, right? So then they can play with their Elena Danner card sign thing, right?
Mhm.
Or trading. It took them so long to trade up and up and up until they finally got their dock side for their cool deck and they can make it work and it's real great for them. And so those are the types, of things that, they got the masterpiece version of the Mana Crypt, right? And man, that took so long, or it just, it ate up their whole bonus. And to sort of damage that is not just financial. A lot of it's emotional, and that's where those sort of outbursts come from. Again, not saying you should ever outburst to anybody, but what I'm saying is, for me, I try to understand things, right? I'm very empathetic, so I'm like, what are you feeling? And to me, that's the feeling of they had these connections, not just financial, not just in play, not just with artist experiences, but all of it combined. And to do that for these giant cards, one after the other, was like, going through all that grief all at once is a lot for people.
At this point, we have fully shifted into not the announcement itself, but instead the reaction to it.
Right.
Yeah.
And the old adage of your feelings are valid, but your emotions and your reactions are your own, and you have to be accountable for how to manage your feelings. And that has not gone great the last couple of days. I can't imagine a scenario in which a death threat is acceptable.
There's no scenario for that. How many times have we been here? Stop any death threat. I don't care what it's about. It's not okay. It's never okay. How many times have we been here? You know what I'm saying? Something happens, people lose their crap all of a sudden.
When I had my store in Texas, I had people threaten to burn the damn thing down.
Jesus.
I've had people menacing the legal term because they weren't stalking.
Yeah.
So I've lived through some crap.
Now, you haven't experienced anything from this, have you?
I have had some pretty, we'll call them angry grams. that hit
Okay.
my DMs. I've had some people try to pop up on my YouTube stuff and leave some pretty unsavory messages, you know. Uh, Otherwise,
Okay.
I'm fairly public, so like I told people, I mean, I've been threatened with so many other things. Some knuckleheads on the internet are not going to bother me, like,
No.
but it still sucks. It
Yeah.
still sucks. It doesn't feel good,
What blows my mind,
especially when I didn't have anything to do with the final
Right.
decision. Right? At least if I
Right.
would have had a vote, and cool, but like I didn't even have a vote on the final decision, and you're mad at me,
right? You didn't have a vote, and to me, part of it's like, man, this small group of people did so much financial change, if you want to, put it that way, which is incredible. But are ultimately doing as Killer noted, a Sisyphean task. It is. You're either no one notices you or like you're getting this crazy ire of hate from people who didn't like what you were doing. No one's calling you up and be like, man, thanks for keeping the format great. It's like, no, you're only hearing from the people who are upset. And
absolutely.
That's what it's like being a referee. That's what it's like being a judge.
Yeah.
That's what you only get paid attention to when something goes awry or it's people perceive that something is going awry. And that sucks. And that's
Trust me, even when I had my store, players love you when their game gets the cool new thing or gets the new event or the new cool prize. When somebody else gets the thing, it's like, oh, well, you don't care about our stuff anymore. Like
or the store got a copy of whatever. This happened like from the vault, right? And it's like, oh, you're just going to gouge us because that's just what you do
exactly.
now. It's like, no, there's a market value. I'm sorry if you don't like it, And so, how dare you get a one up versus them get the cool promo for their event or whatever? And it's just the whole thing. But yeah, so in the end, don't be a dick. These people have the most thankless job I've ever seen at this point in the last couple days. And not only yourself, Power Dragon, also for the CAG, because the advisory group, y'all are still getting the heat.
Oh yeah, I mean, there's great, but like Shivam's fantastic, and people just come after him. Like one of the nicest dudes I've ever met in Magic.
Yeah,
like getting hit, and he didn't even do anything. Like literally did nothing. Like had nothing to do with anything, and the dude's having to like defend himself left and right. Like it's just dumb.
Yeah.
So it's just like, come on, like what are we doing?
So let's all try to be a little bit better. And again, I think a cEDH ban list would be absolutely wonderful. But right now we ain't got that.
I think they could both be achieved with one list. I honestly believe that.
Sure.
I think there's ways to do it. I think it's just understanding the communication around it makes everything so much easier. And there's even been discussions of that. I can just talk about that openly, even over the last couple of days, and like many of us CAG members saying like, hey, here's what we would have done. Here's what we would recommend. This is how we would have handled it. Here's some better ways to get some good PR back, right? Some of those are all included in those discussions.
But you don't have to enumerate those.
No, I'm not. But like I'm saying, but those are all part of discussions right now.
I get you.
And that's where I just, and for me, I have a lot of sympathy and also understand why, those who may work at Wizards may not want to have a public facing, profile or whatever, because when decisions like this happen and they go, oh, well, who was on the team or whatever, it's time to shotgun blast everybody who I can find was associated.
I've said it before. Like, it bothers me. I haven't been in Wizards at 5 years now at this point, 6 years. Like, it bothers me when I see people go after folks at Wizards for just doing their job, by the way. Like, not doing anything, not making a crazy decision, just literally just doing their job. Because I've said it before, like I felt like when I was at Wizards, those were the most enthusiastic, smartest, creative people I have ever been around. Like I genuinely said, like I don't even think I was the 10th smartest person on my floor, much less in the building. Right? Like
it's great.
So to watch people go, oh, they don't care, they're just trying to do this, and we're like, man, you have no idea the discussions that go in there and how hard some of those people are working for you to just want to attack them and like trying to get them fired and whatever. It's like, come on, man. What are we doing? What are we doing? Nobody's coming after you. Nobody's hates you. Nobody's trying to discredit you. Like, it's just sometimes things don't align that make sense with what you want, but it's all in the betterment of the game. Because at the end of the day, all these formats are getting more players. Magic's selling an insane record number of cards. Like things are being done with the purpose and are working. We don't always like them. Right. But they're working.
And a lot of times, the people who are in those public-facing positions at Wizards who deliver that message, oftentimes didn't make that decision. They have to explain it. They have to deliver the message. They have to tell you what's happening. Like,
God bless Blake, because when he's doing those Tuesday videos, he's just passing along like talking points that you need to get out there and whatever. And dude takes barrel after barrel. I mean, and he ain't doing anything but just be in the face,
Yep,
right?
he's just
Be in the
saying,
mouthpiece.
right, throwing out the information. And
Yeah, nothing at all that he makes a decision on other than maybe like the show order and all that. Like,
Sure.
but as far as the information and the product, he's not doing any of that. But he's the one out front, so people come for his head, and it sucks.
it sucks.
And Blake's a really nice guy, by the way. If you've ever met him, he is genuinely a nice dude.
Oh, he's great. So that's 30 minutes on that. So let's keep moving on here. To gather the townsfolk, thanks to our sponsor, Mana Traders, the best tool to enhance your Magic Online experience. Use the code MagicMikes_IQJ, again, IQJ, for 10% off your next subscription with Mana Traders. Tell them we sent you. We appreciate it. It's great. Let's move on here to better, more positive things. And by that, I mean Duskmourn. Duskmourn has been huge. Duskmourn looks, honestly, is a way better set than I was expecting. Quite frankly, I thought like Bloomborough was going to be, here we're Bloomborough. But I'll be damned if Duskmourn isn't like just as interesting, if not more powerful. Way cool cards, super cool aesthetic. I just love the whole idea of the way the plane is working and the way that sort of the special versions of the cards work. I love the mechanics. I think it's great. And Limited, I'm having a hell of a fun time. I haven't even touched Constructed yet because I try to get as many like rares and stuff as I can from Limited. Then I jump over to Constructed once I got a decent collection of it. But like, this set is dope. I'm really enjoying it. And if anything, because in the Limited portion, it really took like 3 drafts of Bloomborough for you to figure out that white green was better than everything else. And I really appreciate the fact that I'm more than that many drafts in for Duskmourn, and I don't think there's a clear best color pair yet, and that is appreciated.
Yeah, I would say overall, this is just a case of sometimes you just got to let things play out. I think it was easy to make a lot of assumptions about this, like, it's going to be 80s theme, and then there's like some real world items, and I don't know about horror stuff, but then we're all playing with it, going like, look at this crazy thing you get to do, right?
Yeah.
Like, and it's fun. So I mean, like, just let them cook, man. Like, I mean, like, it's working right now. Like,
Yeah.
there's a lot of crazy stuff that's been going on in Magic from like theme standpoints and trying different stuff and weird mechanics, but they're making them work. And people are excited, and people are showing up to pre-releases, and people are buying boxes. So it's just like, I mean, I don't know what else there is to say. Like, it's working. Just go play if you haven't.
Yeah, the design side is still there. They're trying to make 3 times as many cards, I guess, but they're still pumping them out. They're still able to do it at a high level with new themes, with new abilities, with new concepts. It always feels fresh and interesting. And Duskmourn is no different. And I'm excited that, it's really interesting that you can have a game as expansive and a game that is customizable, that you can go from Bloomborough to Duskmourn, and both of them equally make thematic sense.
Yeah, and they have both been very, very successful. Like, I remember if you were here after the pre-release of Bloomborough, I was like, oh my God, absolutely destroying it. Second only to Lord of the Rings. Hey, oh my God. Well, Duskmourn was like 70 players behind Bloomborough in terms of pre-release attendance. And Bloomborough had more new players, but Duskmourn had more returning players. So,
and that's what I expected was going to happen. Actually,
yeah,
I thought that because of the themes of the sets, that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, and so, but the products have been selling absolutely terrific. The cards have been great, worth plenty of money, which is awesome. They're super powerful and fun. And like I said, it's funny because to me, like, this set is doing as well as I had hoped Murders at Karlov Manor would do. But I had lower expectations, I think, because Karlov Manor like disappointed me in many ways.
Oh, it's funny because when I heard the themes, I had them flip flop.
Oh, really?
Because I was like, Karlov Manor, I've said it before, like being set in Ravnica didn't make a lot of sense to me. So I was already like a disconnect. Whereas I'm like, I'll at least give Duskmourn a shot. I'm not really a horror guy, but like maybe.
Yeah.
The thing I will say about Duskmourn, though, seeing how successful it is and what they were able to do with it, it does make me feel even better about what's going to happen next year with Final Fantasy and Marvel. Because you took something so different and we're still able to do something really cool, flavorful, thematic with it. And I'm like, well, maybe these other 2 sets are going to be kick-ass too. So that's something to look forward to next year.
Oh, Marvel's going to be sick. Like, the hype around Marvel, I mean, is just nuts. we don't talk about leaky leaks here, but things have leaked that show very good promise
Yeah.
so far, which is awesome. Very obviously excited about Final Fantasy.
You know what's funny though? We looked a couple of years ago and went, man, Wizards made so much money. I wonder how they're gonna trump that the next year. And then they did Lord of the Rings and made a ton of money. And we're like, man, they did $1 billion. Like, I don't know how they're gonna trump that, right? Then we have 3, 4 banger sets this year, and we're like, well, man, you might beat Lord of the Rings year. We're like, well, how are you gonna beat this? Well, there's Final Fantasy and Marvel next year. It's like, hell, what the hell are you gonna do in 2026 then?
Yeah, I don't know how you're going to ramp up because Marvel is kind of at the top. Like, they're not going to let you
exciting.
do Pokemon, right?
Right.
And you're not going to be able to do One Piece. You know, maybe
I
do
think
Monster
they might
Hunter or
sell
something.
as much Final Fantasy in Japan as they sell in the US.
Oh man, and Japan is such an incredible market. for
Exactly.
Wizards.
They can make
cater
a
big time.
ton of money next year.
They really do.
So yeah,
Man.
we're set up for some good stuff with Duskmourn. If this is what they're doing, man, next year is going to be bangers.
Yeah, Duskmourn just again on a mechanical level, just playing it out. Not only from the preview, where I did get to play a lot of the standard cards and decks and interactions, but to see the limited side of it so far for me playing it, like I'm super duper pleased. And honestly, MKM is kind of like, if you look at it, there's been a lot more cards over time that have just gotten like better and more important, and their surveillance are there, and like the Vein Ripper guy or whatever was in there, and this, it's like, and this card and that card and this other thing. You're like, oh wow, maybe that set wasn't actually as bad as I thought it was, quite frankly, and it's kind of grown on me. I don't really like the limited format kind of at all because of the whole ward thing, and that was like its whole bit was making creatures that are harder to target. But in terms of constructed, it's actually been really impressive.
It's got a lot of tools as more and more sets come out, for sure.
And maybe that was part of sort of what they kind of, snuck in there was, this isn't great now, but man, it's going to kick butt later when you have some people activating that. All right, so Magic announced here the MTG Ambassador Program welcomes a new class. The ambassadors will be shared on Tuesday's weekly MTG, and that was September 12th. So I believe you are still a part of it, yes, Power Dragon?
Maybe.
I didn't mean to throw that to you that way. I thought you were like absolutely. And let me talk about the new ambassador.
No, the way I believe it's being done now is there will be different creators selected by set to do different stuff. So it's not necessarily, at least that's my assumption right now.
Okay.
I haven't been told this explicitly, but it seems to be that this is the new plan going forward. That they're probably going to select some group of people to make content for each set, maybe as an opportunity to reach more people, give more people an opportunity. I'm sure there's some logic behind why they want to do this, but they will still reach out to some people that are obviously the big creators, big business partners or whatever, to do the bigger, higher end public facing stuff. But they'll still be rewarding some people with like, hey, you'll get some free product and things if you want to do a cool little promo video about this card or this rule set or whatever, as the set launches.
Yeah, I mean, this is certainly something that Wizards has done 37 different ways. Like I have seen them interact with content creators. Sometimes there's people, sometimes it's a group, sometimes there's one person at Wizards, sometimes it's a group at Wizards that does it. And I think they did kind of sort of the shotgun style for that last bit where like, all these people were accepted and then like all the people weren't really doing what they were supposed to be doing. And then
I think it's tough because, and again, I'm not going to throw anybody under the bus, but
of course not.
I think with that last group, most of the people I would say were successful were people that were already going to be successful without the program, right? Like and what I mean by this, there wasn't an official program and Wizards just came to some of these people and said, hey, can you produce this type of thing for us and have it to me in like 3 weeks or whatever? Like those people would still deliver on it. They would get paid. It would be their thing.
Right.
A lot of the other people they tried to give an opportunity to, I just think weren't on top of things. Right. I saw multiple times where people, hadn't submitted their invoice or they forgot where the instruction docs were or, whatever. Just basic things you got to do to be able to do the job. Right. And I don't know how well that's set with Wizard. Well,
Uh-oh. Is that?
Uh-oh.
Oh, okay. So that's Power Dragon. That's not me, right?
Not me either.
Oh, no.
Oh. No,
There we go.
There we go.
Back.
All right.
Yeah, I don't know what happened there.
Okay, we did it. Nice job. Okay, so they did drop a list of partners and ambassadors. Thank you so much, Maverick Girl, for helping me out on that one. And there are a list of a lot of the shows that we have. Good Luck, Have Fun, for example. Loading Ready Run, of course, Scry Babies, Commander at Home, Command Zone, and so on, and some individual creators as well. And so again, I have seen them do this so many different ways. So like, obviously, I wish them the best. I hope it works out. However they're doing it now, scalpel in and cut into however much content you want from however many people. That's cool. But and I hope it's successful.
Yeah, I think it's interesting that they still feel the need to call it like an ambassador thing.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's a marketing kind of thing, and not to say it's right or wrong, but I think it's almost like Wizards feels they need, for the sake of the community, to acknowledge they're working with community members. You know what I mean? So we have to have a title.
Yeah,
and
that's ultimately marketing. That's kind of like the feel good marketing, and I have no problem with that.
So I think that's kind of what it is, more than like, hey, this is an official ambassador program with these things. This is more like all the projects related to the sets with creators are just going to be under this banner. I think is more of what that is, more than this being an official pattern of like project with a thing.
Right now, like because whenever this kind of thing shows up, I try to put my mindset, like you're at Wizards, right? You got a boss. And you pitch this program, and what are the metrics that make this thing work? Because it's not necessarily going to say like this is adding X thousands of dollars to the bottom line, whatever, on a quarterly basis, because it's not. But what you could say is it's having this impact, it's having this reach, and these are the people who we reached out to try to have the most in any given category or whatever we're trying to do. So again, it's just a way to do it, and we've seen them try a lot.
Yeah, because I would even say this time, most of the people were the bigger channels, right? Whereas the other one's like, hey, we're just going to bring in all, I think it was like 80 creators. It was like
it was a lot. It was like a shotgun full of everybody.
Whereas this one is just like, hey, here's like 20 of the bigger channels or names or whatever. Like, it seems like you would probably expect to see our stuff to work with.
Right. Exactly. So, cool. And, I think, and one of the things that they worked with was Rhystic Studies, who did a video on Duskmourn. And if you haven't seen it, you go see it, because
all the credit to Rhystic Studies. Like, the amount of time that goes into those projects is insane.
Yeah. Sam's unbelievable, and he does amazing work, and I love it. And it's great that we have him in our community. So
yeah, he's an artisan that should be,
absolutely.
Making millions of dollars, but he's here, and enjoy it while it lasts.
Indeed.
I want to say that, like, nerd communities, we do not appreciate the level of creativity and expertise we have within each of our communities, because we have people like Rhystic Studies that are doing the equivalent of Magic Nerd cinema.
Yeah.
Right.
It's close to it.
And people just kind of go like, oh, it's cool he's here. Right?
Yeah, it's just it's not been at cinemas. That's literally, like, I think the only thing that's changed the difference. That's it.
I've been very lucky in my career to have gotten to work with a lot of people. I got to work at Star City Games. I got to work with Jimmy and Josh. I got to write something for the Professor once upon a time. I got to go up and do a pre-release with the Loading Ready Run crew. I got to be on an episode of Walk the Plains. Like, I've been around and I've gotten to do a lot. And a lot of people have been kind enough to be on my programs back when I did the newsing and the interviewsing, and when we did +1+1 here on this show. The one person who I haven't gotten to work with is Sam.
Wow.
That's my white whale. I want to write something with Sam someday.
Hey, reach out and tell him. Hell, probably have you voice whatever characters you write.
Yeah, a lot of times they don't know.
That'd be great.
Because when I would at least argue it when I was at my sort of like the height of my own powers, a lot of people have been like, man, I always wanted to work with you, and I'm like, I didn't know that. You know what I mean? And like, it sometimes feels weird to approach people, even when, because when you're in that sort of status or whatever, you don't realize you're always at that status. You know what I mean?
Right.
Some people aren't as observant or aware. Because I was just like, who am I? You know what I mean? To ask whomever to do whatever, and they're like, no, dude, we would have totally whatever. And I'm like, well, I didn't know. Either way, Rhystic Studies is great. He's awesome. Go check out his stuff. Moving on here real fast to some desperate ravings. Netflix Geeked. Said it's happening, even though it was supposed to be happening before, but it's happening now. Magic the Gathering animated series is now in production from showrunner Terry Matalas in partnership with Hasbro and Wizards, at which point I would say good luck.
I'm going to say this. I feel a little bit vindicated, because when that story came out about Brandon Ruth like 3 weeks ago or whatever, I literally was like, why is this story floating around?
Yeah.
Because we were all of the assumption that all that stuff that involved like the Russo brothers and Gideon and whatever was all dead.
Right.
Like, so it was weird
Well,
that his quote even popped up and started floating around, and I was like, okay, I guess. Like, okay, we're just running back news we already knew. And then this pops up, which makes me feel like because that went around, Netflix probably had to like, hey, y'all need to like, why is there stuff going around that like this project isn't happening?
Well, I mean, okay, so when the 10 hat is fully on, that was part of a promotion, was to ask Brandon Routh about, hey, what happened to that thing? So you can go, why are you even at, like, that's been gone for a long time. So then they can follow up a few weeks later with the second punch of, oh, it's happening on Geeked, and you heard it wasn't happening. Like,
Yeah,
I don't
maybe.
know if they're on that level of 4D chess, honestly. Probably not. But
Like I said,
no
it
way.
just felt weird to me that story was going around previously because I literally was like, didn't we know this died like 3 years ago?
Yeah,
Like, I mean, like
the 4D chess is almost never the 4D chess. This reminds
Yeah.
me when they would make like absurdly awful playmats for like events, and people would be like, "Oh my god!" and they were like, "Oh, we made it bad on purpose because we knew it would get everybody talking because that's
Oh,
what
that really crappy one that broke like every IP law and like
Oh.
they couldn't even hand them out and got shut down or whatever that thing was.
There's been many, honestly, I've seen for a variety of reasons. But, either way, like, everybody wants a good show. No one's like, make a crappy show.
Sure.
It's
Right.
just making that show, making Wizards happy, making Hasbro happy, making Netflix happy, making the actors involved happy with their roles and what happens. You know what I mean? Like, there's so much that you have to do to get it even remotely right that it's so difficult if they do it, competently.
I will say there's a couple of things here that are positive, right? The showrunner, I believe, also did Picard.
Yes.
Did
Which
the
is-
second and third seasons, which was like the people
So,
like the third one.
I don't know that he was the showrunner on Picard, but he certainly worked on Picard.
Yeah, which is a big deal because you're
Yeah.
talking about somebody who's dealt with that type of fan base already,
Right.
that has a whole established community and, movies and books and whatever, and kind of had to take it in a different direction without upsetting that fan base while still
Right.
appealing to new viewers, right? So they have the experience of dealing with that already. On top of that, it was also on a streaming service.
Right.
And so they understand how to work with that audience, how to deal with the execs on that side.
Sure.
So that also, I think, helps this project quite a bit.
Yeah,
You know, so now,
he was a
when do we
producer
get it?
Go ahead.
I don't know. Right. Like, I mean, at earliest, probably in the 2025.
Yeah.
But I did have this thought, though, that with it being an animated series, one benefit Magic does have over other properties, they already have complete world and style guides already done out.
Right.
So there's no conception that has to be done. The artist can literally go like, oh, everything looks like this, right? If we're going to do this season set in, I don't know, Zendikar or whatever,
Well,
you literally have pages and pages and pages of what everything in Zendikar is already.
I think like you have to figure out sort of the art style, right? Like, is it
Sure.
going to be more 3D based? Is it going to be more 2D based? Is it going to be more like into the Spider-Verse, type? The way the animation never blurs, for example.
Yeah.
There's all types of ways you can do that. So there's a stylization there, but there is like they don't have to come up with the characters or what the characters look like and all that good stuff, which is cool. And yeah, look, the guy does have a pedigree that's running the show. Obviously, the Russo brothers, honestly, and for what it's worth, was more exciting, but that doesn't mean it made it easier, or that
Sure.
doesn't mean it made it better.
Well, from my understanding, they were the ones that wanted to go with Gideon. That was already the wrong decision right out of the book. So it's just
that
like,
was
come on.
100% the wrong decision. So, maybe it wasn't the best idea.
And the artwork we got at least shows a Johnny and Chandra. So it's just like, I don't know if that means anything,
I don't
but
put
I mean,
anything in that artwork.
Yeah.
But it's fine. Again, go do your thing. Do well. Just real fast here in Going Infinite. There is something on the New York Comic Con 2024 schedule about booths and panels. And if you look for Magic the Gathering, there is definitely going to be a panel with some surprise reveals for fans on Friday, October 18th. Now, of all the places and of all the times, a Comic-Con, Marvel is there,
Sure.
and there's Marvel stuff next year.
yeah, not a
Great.
surprise.
And there's someone just
Awesome.
happened to leak a bunch of stuff about Marvel.
Let's do it.
So it's Marvel time, and I'm excited. And if you can make your way to that Comic-Con, you probably should, because if it's a Comic-Con exclusive, It's going to go through the roof. Like
Yeah.
it's not only a Magic exclusive at that point, it's a Magic and Marvel exclusive, which kicks it into a whole nother gear. And honestly, just will kick off the excitement that Marvel's going to bring to Magic, which is just going to be ridiculous, quite frankly. So that's cool. And let's go ahead here and move into and turn the corner to the finisher. Reddit user It's Summer Somewhere went semi-viral this month when they pointed out a 19-card combo that goes infinite, but only if the famous unproven Twin Primes Conjecture turns out to be true. The post, put up on the aptly named BadMtGCombos subreddit, outlines how using the new 3-drop Zimone in a convoluted combo can win you the game based on a mathematical theory. So tell me, what famed adage, razor, or theory are you hoping to use for your next deck build, Ruben?
If you haven't seen that, by the way, it's well worth your time to go read it. I'm looking forward to introducing Schrodinger's cat to my latest build of Counterbalance Control, because until I reveal my top card, every card in my deck is simultaneously countering and not countering all of your spells at all times.
Very nice. Power Dragon?
All right, I know we can't explain the proof and theory of everything, but I think the best argument in favor of being an all-encompassing, coherent theoretical framework of physics that fully explains and links together all physical aspects of the universe is that I never draw that damn third land.
Yeah.
It's not going to be there. It's not. You think it's going to be there. You keep the 2-lander.
It's physically and mathematically impossible.
Absolutely
you keep 2 lands. You don't even fetch for the third because you want to give yourself a better chance to draw it, and you still don't draw
Still don't get it. Look, all we have to do to prove the Riemann hypothesis is to call a judge while we have a specific set of cards in play. The issue, of course, is that in order to call a judge, 2 things need to happen. 1, that set of cards has to create a self-perpetuating Turing machine during competitive play, and 2, there has to be a judge being compensated to run your event.
Yeah.
Neither of those are particularly lucky right now.
They're pretty tough. They're pretty tough. And that ends another live episode of Magic Mike's. Thanks for joining us here to discuss all things Magic. Thank you, Power Dragon.
Hey, it's good to be here. We had a good therapy session, and I think we did a good job.
We're working our way through it. We're working our way through. Thank you, Ruben.
That was a really good discussion. I think that there's a lot of good stuff in there for us to put out as clips. I think that we had like a reasoned coverage of the issues. We are nothing if not a news show. And I'm happy we could. I mean, it was worth the half hour we spent on it. I honestly could have spent the whole show on just that first issue. But there's always more to talk about.
Always more. As we move here to our final slide, I want to thank our sponsor, CoolStuffEat.com. Use the promo code MagicMikes to save 5% there. Our co-sponsor, Mana Traders, my co-host, Power Dragon, and Ruben Bressler. You guys for watching and listening, and hope to support us at patreon.com/MagicMikes. Please follow, like, tweet, favorite, share, subscribe to everything social that tells people we exist. Catch us on our exclusive member Discord, live on twitch.tv at MagicMikes, live or taped on our YouTube channel. Follow us on Twitter at MagicMikesCast, on TikTok at MagicMikesCast, or join us here next week. Same time, same place for another episode of Magic Mikes. Good night, everybody.